Okay, we're in Excel, skill 2.10. Code word for this skill is going to be soft, S-O-F-T. We're looking at using logical functions. The one we're going to look at specifically is the if function. This is where you can tell Excel if a certain condition is met, then I want you to put a value in this cell. Otherwise, I want you to put a different value in. It's kind of like we saw in the mail merge lesson in Word. Let me show you how to do this. One thing I missed showing you with just creating these functions is the formulas tab. There's all kinds of different functions you can choose from here. The if then or the if function is a logical function, so I'm going to click on logical and select if, and it brings up this dialog box for me to fill in. Basically, I put in my logical test. That's my condition that needs to be met. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on this gross profit and put in cell B7 as a relative reference. I'm going to say if B7 is greater than 50,000, it tells me what it is currently too. It says that's false. But the next box says value if true, so this is what I'll put in here if true. I'll say B7 times 10%. Okay? So it'll put in 10% of B7 if that's true. If it's false, I'm going to put in just 50. I'm just throwing a random number in there. So this function is going to say if B7 is greater than 50,000, put in 10% of it. Otherwise, put in 50. So I hit OK. Hit OK. It puts my formula in there. You can see it's 50. Well, the values are 50. If I click on it, double click, you can see the condition or the function I put in there. So now we go over to here. Let's change this value. Let's change it to 75,000. And all of a sudden this value here is 7,500, 10% of that cell. Again, I can copy this over and it puts it in there the same way. Any of these values were to change, you can see the 50. So that is basically using the logical function. The if is very handy. Oftentimes you'll see a condition like this. You say if a cell like B7 is greater than 0, then put in some value. Otherwise put in 0. Basically, well, let's just say B7 in there. So if B7 is greater than 0, put B7 in, otherwise put 0. And what that does is if B7 happens to go negative, then we keep it at 0. And it's a good way to not have our formulas go into the negative. If we're calculating, say, a loan payment and the loan is paid off, we don't want the extra years that we may be calculating out to have these negative values. You just want to set them to 0. That's where you'll often see that if come into handy. So that's your using logical functions skill 2.10.